the amount of people we caught and banned because they put up a video.
They snitch on themselves.
Before you even open up the arena, you did something that a lot of people thought was a little controversial. And you created a ban list before you even opened up.
Yep.
How was that?
It was phenomenal.
I bet it was. No, I bet it was. But I
agree with it.
Yeah.
Did you see that South Park episode?
I unfortunately did not.
Oh, you did not? South Park helped me realize that it's not so much speed softers or it's teenagers.
Yeah.
It's like the way that they portrayed teenagers on that episode was spot on.
As I was coming down, I kind of see two kids with bags up on the street getting into a Jetta, and I booked it. Come up next to the car. They both just got into the car after putting their stuff in the trunk, and I knock on the window, and they both just turn and look at me and go, yeah, because they saw me getting out of my car, so they knew I obviously had something to do with it. And the reason I say it gets worse is because I was like, hey, I was talking to them.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Zulu 24 podcast. As always, I'm joined with Anthony from Antec Airsoft Studios, Jordan from Zulu Outdoor, and we have a very special guest. Actually, we're coming live from his house, his corner of the hood, John Aras, owner and operator of Full Auto Arena. John, how are you?
I'm doing really well. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great. We really appreciate you letting us come out here and talk to you. You have a fantastic facility. Your store makes us jealous. But yeah, man, everything's looking good here. You have a train track 14 feet from your front door. How does that work?
So when this building was originally built in the late 1800s, it was a factory that manufactured heavy artillery, from what I was told. And the train tracks would literally bring the train right in front. There's a dock on the side. And if you actually look in the rafters, you can see two metal beams, I-beams, that literally just it was a track. So they could literally push the heavy machinery from the back of the building to the front and load it onto a train.
So you heard it here first. Full Auto Arena actually helped win World War II.
It's very possible.
That's a really neat factoid.
Yeah,
to have a historical building like that, that's pretty neat.
I didn't realize how old it was until first looked at it and then looked up and I saw square bolts.
The
first bolts ever were square. I didn't know that.
Fuck that guy. Square bolts.
So yeah, apparently late, I think it was like 1880 or 1890, this building was originally put up. The back half where the field is all newer. But where the speed field is all the way to the parking lot is all original from that.
Nice.
So
nice. That's a great spot here. We're sitting here. This is like your party room.
Yeah. This is the party room where we do any type of events actually. So training companies use it for a classroom.
Yeah.
Kids use it for party rooms. It could be just about anything.
It's got the most comfortable couch I've ever sat in right over there. The casting couch.
It's not black. Casting couch is black.
Yeah. How do you know?
I think everyone knows at this point, even if you don't want to know.
Those are in Miami.
Yeah, the field here is really fun. So I played here once for gas gun night, and I'm a big outdoor player. You know, the context in which I see myself playing indoor and enjoying it is for like gas guns only, because real cap mags. It's a type of LARP you don't get to do outside very often. And it was super fun. I think the field layout's great. You have different rooms, and it was cool. It was my first time ever playing indoor, ever. It was here, and I liked it a lot. And you have another room in addition to the main field, which is the speed room.
Yeah.
You call it. Yeah. And you do like tournaments there.
Yep. We do 3v3 tournaments. We just started that up like 5 months ago. We do it once every other month, and the next one's actually going to be coming up on the 18th of January.
Yeah,
this Saturday.
Yep.
I follow Sippy, and I see when he posts, and like I see that there's tournaments happening here, and I'm just like, that's super neat, because like we talk about like how can you make airsoft like a televised sport, and it's like CQB would probably be the easiest way to do it, because like it's all closed in, you can track it, and it's like a sport. Like teams come, and there's like tournaments, and
we've had teams from Ohio come out. We've had teams from Virginia come up. I mean, the average speed event is typically a 5v5. So our field can't support a 5v5. It's just not big enough. So we cap it at a 3v3 so it still stays fun and competitive. But to my knowledge, nobody else does a 3v3, especially on the East Coast. So we figured give an offering. But also we try not to charge an arm and a leg. Like I'd mentioned, we charge $100 per team, and then we take half of that and put it into a pool as a cash prize at the end.
That's really awesome. I mean, so for a 3-man team, that's $33 a piece. It's like,
yep. And then
it's really manageable.
I want to say on average, we try to double your buy-in as the first place prize.
Yeah. If you win. Yeah. Is it winner take all, or is it like first, second, third?
We do try to tier it so that it's not just like if you don't win, you get nothing. But winning, typically we try to like make it a round double, so that it's well worth it. And then typically second place will either be a little bit more than buy-in or what the buy-in was, and then third place, depending on how many teams, right?
Yeah,
so if there's more teams, there's more money to kind of give out. So like the lowest turnout we had, the third place team, we actually just gave them store credit.
Yeah.
So that they could have something instead of nothing.
Sure.
But we do have a first, second, third.
That's awesome. How many teams do you usually get for the
so
season?
far we've had 6 as our best so far.
Nice.
So it's just a slow grind. It's kind of like a try it out. You know, people have to see what the field is like and kind of go from there. But
sure.
So far, I mean, 6 is better than 0.
Yeah, no,
better than everything less than that. So I am very happy. I mean, it's kind of one of those. It's more for the community versus for us, because we run it after all the games and everything on Saturday. So like doors open for registration to check in at 6. And then we try to start the games at 7. Mm-hmm. So it even works out like around your schedule because you're already done and everything.
Oh yeah.
Because when we were talking about it on our live stream this past Sunday, people said, "Oh, it's also Zulu's
14, yeah.
14, sorry.
14, yeah.
I was going to say 24, but that's in the name. It's the 14-year anniversary, and I was like, and that's why it's perfect because it's right after.
Sure.
So you can go to that, enjoy that all day long, you know, and then come down, take a couple-hour break, and then play some speed if you wanted to.
Man, and then after that, go right next door, get some beers,
and
some dinner. Oh man,
barbecue's slamming next door too.
Yeah, dude, your location is prime time.
It took a long time. For most of the time we've known each other, I've been looking for a building.
Yeah,
most of the time.
Speaking of that, we've known each other for 15 years, probably.
Just about 2011.
So let's talk about the beginnings. Well, let's talk about the beginnings of you in the sport of airsoft. So how did you...
Is it all right if I ask a backtrack question really quick so I don't backtrack
go
later?
Ahead. Backtrack.
So you know how there's like no winners in airsoft, right? We're there to have fun.
Yeah.
Well, when you go into like that competitive sphere and there are winners and there's a prize at the end, how does the game kind of change? How does the role of the referees change? Like, do they now play a role of actually calling...
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So and how does that play out now? Because it doesn't work outdoor to have a ref do that. It's like bad culture in that sense for like open play outdoor. But for the competitive thing, like it's kind of expected because it's a sport. Mm-hmm. Like now it's like a competitive sport.
Yeah. Yes. With something actually on the line. Because not only do we have the cash prize, but we also have, I don't know if you guys saw it on the way in, there's a belt. We had like a full auto speed league belt made,
like a WWE.
Yep, exactly. Awesome. And so you don't get to take it home, but there are room for plaques to put the names of the team that won, and that's what we do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Do you have a photo wall for them too?
We've only had it for one tournament, but yes, as we have more and more done, we're gonna add more and more, and kind of just try to see if I can make like a whole cabinet for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, I'm gonna steal that idea, except I'm gonna do a full weight replica of the Stanley Cup.
Jesus. They actually, I'll give you the name of the trophy company. They do the Stanley Cup. I was going to do it, and then I saw there was a comma in the price, and I was like, yeah, I'm good.
Do you see that competitive end of airsoft? Not like just like open play CQB, but like that competitive space. Do you see that gaining popularity? Like, do you see that as something that like has a lot of potential to grow? Maybe if it had like better content coverage, like media surrounding it.
So I don't think the media is so much the bad side right now, because I personally feel Speedsoft is on actually a downturn. Mm-hmm. It had its peak, or its first peak. It's not going to go away, but it's had its first peak, and now it's on a downward trend. And I think it's on a downward trend just because, honestly, because of, I want to say just some of the people that run games throughout the world. it's just kind of hit or miss sometimes. Sometimes it's a great event and you're just like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you're just like, did that really just happen? Did I just spend a whole weekend and hundreds of dollars for that to just happen? And it's super degrading when that happens. And it just pisses you off because you just spent all this money, all this time practicing, countless hours for it to just go away because of something you may not have understood or somebody that thought they saw something, but they didn't. So it's tough. Like reffing Speedsoft is not easy whatsoever.
And you're still talking about the competitive sphere, not the open play.
Correct. Yeah, I'm talking about the competitive side and where that's kind of going, how I feel where that's kind of going. Because obviously everybody has their own opinion. But I definitely feel like it's one of the tougher things to ref, even though we require tracers. There's a lot that kind of goes into it. How much lighting do you have in the place? What's the background looking like?
Yeah.
Can it stand out? So like we're putting all the walls black.
That's why you're doing that.
Yep. So all the walls are going black, and they're only going black right now because I don't have the carpet to carpet all the walls. But eventually, all the walls are going to be carpeted, just like the barriers are, so that it doesn't ricochet as much.
Yeah.
But it's going to be black carpet everywhere, pretty much from floor to ceiling. So we could clearly see those tracer rounds flying, and you could clearly see them bounce off of somebody.
Man, and even still, right? So like detectives will say this all the time. Some of the worst intelligence is human intelligence, right? And I don't mean intelligence as in how smart you are. I mean in an eyewitness. An eyewitness can misremember things and all sorts of stuff, right? So the ref is now the eyewitness, and I can see a time where it might become industry standard where there's cameras 360 and each team can be like, nope, I want to see the camera replay of that. And like that
kind
might
of like a challenge in football.
Oh yeah. Like that might become a thing. Because if it grows, right, which is going to require large companies to do sponsorships and like actually pay stuff out. But if it does get to that point and you're talking about, hey, maybe your team can win $25,000. That's a lot of freaking money, right? For a lot of money, you better make
Cue
sure.
the Rocky montage.
Yeah, right.
I mean, paintball, the
Sure.
paintball speed league. I mean, teams can go home with like
Huge.
$300,000 at the end of the year.
It got huge.
Like,
yeah.
dude, that's real money, especially if you live in a part of the country where like 40, 50 grand is livable money.
Yeah.
If your team's making $300,000 throughout the year, like you can almost do that full time.
Yeah. Right.
That's pretty nice.
So with that being in mind, like the safeguards in place, which you're already doing, to make sure that it's easy to determine a hit or not, because in this case, a hit is a big freaking deal.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
A hit, a shrug, if somebody shrugs, that's a disqualification.
Oh, sure, right.
So that could have been the last guy, didn't want to call a hit and, shrugged it. So now not only would he be out and they would have won, but the next round, depending on how many penalties, they might be a man down.
Yeah.
So it could be a lot. So because of that, so we're actually looking into having cameras not only put in on the CQB field, but also on the speed field.
Yeah.
But on the CQB field, we're just going to go with probably like 1080p, 60
Like
frames per
security.
second.
Yeah, like security.
But on the speed field, we're looking at like, I really don't want to go up to 4K, but
I was about to say 4K.
2160 at the max frame per second. I would like to go whatever the highest resolution I can go at 120 frames per second, because I literally want to see that BB moving through the air and be able to see it bounce off of somebody.
You almost have to.
Is your plan to have footage that's recorded so that you can then go back and review it, or do you want to have like a live stream setup going on there?
Both.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a server so that it could be streamed, but then a separate, I think in that case, it's an NVR that's going to be recording it as well.
Yeah.
So it'll have both happening. So while the stream is happening, we could just go back on the NVR, literally just pull it up real quick and see what was going on.
Yeah.
And be able to make a call kind of right there on the spot. But that, I'm not going to lie, that's not going to happen in the next month, 2 months, 3 months.
That stuff gets expensive.
It does.
Yeah,
So
I
like
think-
if we only have 6 teams coming out every single time for the next, couple of I guess like tournaments that we're doing, is it worth me putting $5,000 into cameras?
Monetarily, no, but you could, the old Kevin Costner, if you build it, they will come. If really competitive players know that your facility has all of these safeguards in place, and the prizes are
Becomes
good,
more advantageous, for
right?
the company.
Then maybe it draws more
It's
fun.
like a
Have you
double-edged
seen
sword.
Airsoft Pro League? Have you seen that pilot
Oh,
episode?
God.
Right.
Yes.
It's very Spike TV
Yes.
in production, and a lot of it is like entertainment, gameplay, game show type stuff. Not so much like ESPN, like let's get a real replay and see what actually happened. But the production value and the way it's presented, I think, is like really like it's appealing. Like, it would be appealing to people, especially those that don't play Airsoft. Mixing that level of production with actually having a good way to track what's going on. Yeah. You know, and maybe then at that point, like 3v3, if the standard's 5v5 and you're doing 3v3, that's a huge benefit, because now it's going to be way easier to test and implement that stuff on a smaller scale, and then, you know, build it up from there. But it's super neat. It's super neat because like that's something I would watch. I hate watching people's contour indoor CQB footage because, in my opinion, it's all the same. It's like, okay, what lo-fi music are they listening to, you know, this week? And okay, cool, their team logo, and okay, that person's mad now, and you know. But if it's actually competitive and you have announcers, there's something really appealing to that.
I love it when people put their contour video up. I get to see who's cheating at the facility. Yeah, it helps our ban list a lot.
They snitch on themselves.
The amount of people we caught and banned because they put up a video is insane. Because at the end of the day, you guys know, refs can't catch everything.
No.
Yep. I mean, yours is on an even grander scale because you've got, you know, what, 40 acres?
Oh, 78.
78. It was 40. It expanded.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So 78 acres. Yeah. It's tough to catch it all. But when you're recording and you're posting it up for me to see it, thanks, bud.
Oh, man. It's almost like a donut operator video. You know, like the criminals just out themselves.
Yep.
It's pretty wild. I want to talk about the ban list actually real quick, because before you even open up the arena, you did something that a lot of people thought was a little controversial. And you created a ban list before you even opened up.
Yep.
How was that?
It was phenomenal.
I bet it was. No, I bet it was. But I
agree with it.
Yeah.
We were talking about it in the car on the way over, and I was like, I guarantee you, because like John's been playing Airsoft for years, like decades. Maybe decades, maybe like
coming up
half decades
on second decade. 2007 is when I started.
Yeah, there's the train. There's definitely people you've encountered throughout your years playing Airsoft and being a part of this community in this tri-state area where you've met people and dealt with people, and you told yourself, maybe you said it to them to their face, but like, when I have a field one day, I'm going to ban them before I even open the doors.
Never said that. Honestly, none of that. I never even thought about it until this actually became a potential reality.
Right.
So I mean, started playing in 07, started the company in 2011, found this building in 2021. And once we got into negotiations of a lease and seeing that it like, dude, this might really actually happen. Like I might actually have a building for the next 20 years. It was like okay, like things just got super real, and I need to figure out how I want this place to kind of run. And, you know, Corey, the general manager, you know, I don't know how to even put it other than God had blessed me and put somebody in front of me that was the exact person I needed to help me brainstorm and run this place.
Nice.
And that happened, and we kind of just had the same ideas of what we wanted and how we wanted the field to kind of be and the quality of what we offer. And it all started with, well, let's go see and realize what we don't want to do that all the other fields kind of allow. So because of that, we just scoured the internet and looked for what we called shitter videos.
Yeah.
Pretty much videos of people just dumping, doing all the things that kind of make it a turnoff as a player, you know, as a newer or even older player going into a room and just getting completely annihilated for no reason.
Yeah.
And found all of that, started the ban list, but then also said, if you feel that you shouldn't be on this list, please email us. But these are the reasons why you would be on the list.
Yeah.
Right? So we made it crystal clear why people could potentially be on the list. And we also opened it up for anyone to contact us and get off the list. With that being said, we've pulled a number of people off the list, and they play here the way we ask them to play, which is just respectfully, you know, don't be an a-hole. But they go to other places and they play how they please. Cool. It's not my place. It's their responsibility to manage their own place. But whenever they come here, they play by our rules and they play respectfully. So
that's all you can
why
ask.
not?
It goes to show that what you put on the internet,
but yeah,
it's there forever.
It stays there. Yeah. It'll follow you.
100%.
That's why my son doesn't have a cell phone, because He doesn't need any of that crap.
It's going to inevitably happen.
I know.
So for players that do play here, like what would get them banned? Like where do you draw that line? Because people get salty, right? And sometimes it's just like, all right, dude, you got to take a break. Maybe come back next week. Well, like where's that line drawn?
So
here,
there isn't a line.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a figurative thing. It's literally even printed out. So we wrote down every single thing that we feel would be a rule break or just make the quality of gameplay bad for everyone else around you. And we assigned a point value to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a driver's license.
So
every offense you have comes with X amount of points. And at X amount of points, you are sat, you are asked to leave for the day, 1 month ban, 3 month ban, and then permaban. Permabans add, I think, like 12 points, just like a driver's license.
Yeah.
So if you accrued all these points and you're clearly breaking, even if they're small rules, but you're constantly doing it, you're going to be banned.
when you come back from the 3 month ban and you're still doing stuff, you had plenty of time to think about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So because of that,
There's opportunities for them to correct it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't go away after 3 months. So if you had, I think it's like 6 or 8 points for a 3 month ban. And if you hit 8 points and you come back, you're still at 8 points.
8 points, yeah.
So your next offense that's really big is going to permaban you. And a permaban, like, let's be honest, a permaban may never actually be a permaban. I'm going to hold people to it. But at the same time, if it's 3-4 years down the line, you've grown up, you've become a mature adult, and you come in, you send an email, and you're like, I'm kind of getting back into it, and I'd really like to try to come to your place. And I'm really sorry about how I was in the past. I promise it's going to be different, so on and so forth. You come in, you speak myself and the general manager. And if we feel that you kind of deserve another chance, we'll take you off the list.
Yeah.
It's, I just really care about punish the 10 so that they don't sour the entire batch,
I think that's important. I was doing a podcast or they were interviewing me, Storm Riders, and they were talking about what it's like to grow a business, and I was like, the first thing you got to know is that you have to create standards, and then you have to uphold yourself to those standards, and then you have to uphold everybody around you to those standards, right? Because if you don't have standards, then if you don't enforce your standards, then you don't have standards, right? And building an airsoft community, I think the point I was getting at on that podcast was sometimes you got to tell your friends, hey man, chill out.
Oh, 100%.
I know I'm the owner and we're boys, but right now you need to play this way. And if you don't play this way, then I got to ask you to leave, And it has happened in Zulu's history. It has happened where we've talked to guys who played for 5 years and we're like, hey man, I don't know what happened. Maybe you had a bad day or whatever, but you can't play like that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so you have to call the herd. You have to. And if you don't, you're just gonna invite more of that toxic energy into your thing, which is honestly why I never really looked into doing indoor, because I never had a good time playing indoor. That's just me. That's my own personal. Maybe I'll come to gas gun night and see.
You can borrow one of my gas guns.
Yeah.
It's
one of
our
Jordan's
best.
20 gas guns.
Yeah.
The last time I brought Anthony, it was just 10 people wanted to go, okay, I'm bringing every gas gun I own. Everybody take a gun. Let's have some fun.
All 4 of his GHKs, his MWS.
Yeah. But that's a good system. The point system is a good system because you have to call the herd, and there has to be consequences to actions and things like that, because airsoft at a basic level is just tag. Right. Yeah. And when we're kids, we're not running. Well, maybe Anthony was. You're not running around smacking your sister in the face and going, tag, you're in. You know what I mean? That was just a joke for Anthony.
Oh, I was going to say, did you actually do that?
No.
Oh.
Yeah. No. It's just a subtle Anthony beat his wife.
I would leave small Lego pieces on the floor as calatraps for my brother.
Oh, that's just rude.
I never did that.
But
I would hurt him in other ways.
God,
I was a bad kid.
But yeah, that's awesome, man. That's actually a good system. That's a great system.
I'm curious because enforcing the culture with standards and encouraging the player base to, have a certain level of respect for one another. The assumption with Speedsoft is based on just the video seen online. The fights, flip outs, freak outs and stuff, the content we all hate, right? It makes people... My perception is I'd imagine it's hard to uphold that culture on an indoor field, just based on those videos, because then it's just like us first. It's like Milsim speed softers, and it's like this is just what speed softers do. But now I'm thinking like maybe it's actually harder to enforce that outdoor, because when you're indoor, everybody's literally closer to you in proximity, and there's no mistaking who that was. Versus when you have hundreds of players there, and one person, like, okay, the guy in camo is yelling at me because he swore I didn't call my hits or whatever. What's your opinion on that? Having played a lot of outdoor and also owning an indoor field, do you feel like it's probably like which one of those types of fields do you think it's easier to enforce that positive sportsman-like culture?
Indoor.
100%
indoor. Outdoor, I mean, with how far some of these guns can shoot, 250, 300 feet. You really going to tell me, hey, in that group of guys, the guy with the black mask on, like, it's always been an issue. You can't call out, like, you could barely see sometimes that far. So being able to call something and talk to a ref, like, it's impossible, I feel like.
Yeah,
so
even cameras too, like even the zoom cams or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, very rarely do you actually see it.
Yeah, those BBs are in and out of frame so quick. I mean, it may look. I kind of laugh at some of the airsoft sniper videos, the very popular ones, where if you really look, you're like, yeah, you missed, but he put the little hash marks up. So it's like, oh, look.
There are people now where their whole shtick is breaking those down and showing how they missed. I've seen a bunch of videos where they're like, nah, he's actually lying to you. He missed almost every single one of these. But no, I tell players that too all the time when I'm reffing. I'm like, I have to see it before I can go do something about it. You telling me he's cheating, that guy saying he's not, now it's he said versus he said. I have to physically see it, which is why we tell you, if you have a problem, find a ref. Don't just stand there in the staging area and be like, ref, this dude was cheating. I will take it into consideration, but I have to see it. Because if I can't see it, then I can't enforce it.
Well, yeah, specifically with outdoor, 99% of the times, you're not hitting the guy.
Yeah.
He's too far away. There's a twig, there's a leaf, there's a fly that farted, and because we shoot a projectile that weighs less than half of a paperclip.
And sometimes a quarter.
Literally everything can make that do wild stuff. You know what I mean? So it's a lot harder. You're right. It is a lot harder to enforce. It's a lot harder to actually, I wouldn't even say that. I was about to say it's a lot harder to actually catch the people who are cheating, but I don't think it is. Cheaters tend to like blatant.
Continue to.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not just this one guy says, oh, I think I hit that guy. It's these 12 people who are in different groups all together are coming to me like, all right.
Yeah, that's when we know, like, oh, hey, this dude, yeah, there's definitely a problem. Because, like, you'll hear it every now and then. They'll be like, oh, ref, that one guy. Like, okay, give me a general description of him so I know who I'm talking about. But if I don't hear anything about that same person for the next hour and a half, it's probably not cheating.
Yeah.
It's probably an accident. If, like, 4 different people from 4 different groups come up to me after one game and they're like, that guy with this mask or with this plate carrier, I'm like, okay, now there's a problem because it's 4 separate individuals coming up.
And I always give him a chance. I go talk to him like men. And sometimes I'm just like, hey, man, you've been playing here for a while. What the hell is that? It's everything, right?
That is our compressor.
Oh, okay.
My apologies.
Yeah,
I
no
would
worries.
like somebody to turn that off.
Yeah, and
No, that's fine.
the guy that doesn't call their hits, they're not as much of a problem for the etiquette of, the group that's there that day. They're not as much of a problem as the guy that's like, really, bro, you're not going to call it? That guy ends up being worse. He ends up doing more damage to the morale for everybody that's there that day. The call your hits guy. That's the guy that'll actually ruin games. It's not the one guy that's not calling their hit. Because again, 12 people will eventually be like, all right, this guy. And then eventually it'll be very obvious. And
Well, I also feel like with indoor versus outdoor, because we have this conversation all the time. With indoor fields, you have players, the games are shorter. The play area is smaller. There's a higher likelihood of egos, aggression, stuff like that happening on an indoor field as opposed to an outdoor, where like he still has that 10-minute walk back to respawn. By the time he comes back, he's probably chilled out. He's probably taken a breath, maybe drank a little bit of water. With indoor, you're back in that gunfight in 30 seconds.
Yep.
So because of that, that's why we see like fights and flip out videos happen at indoor fields, because the egos are there, because there's not like a buffer period of you and I just got into an altercation. I'm going to see you again in 60 seconds or less. That's where we start to see that with outdoor fields. I feel like it's not as big of an issue because of the distance.
I got to experience that in a friendly way with Smiggy at Gasco night, because there were some games where he was on the opposite team.
Oh,
and
yeah.
every time he got me, I was just like, oh, I'm gonna Smiggy.
I think in the past, so we're coming up on our 3-year anniversary. In the past 3 years, We've had hands put on somebody 3 times
Really?
in total.
That's one time a year.
Yeah. I feel like that's not bad.
It's not
That's
bad.
not bad
you know,
at all.
I feel like that's pretty solid.
For an indoor spot, yeah, that's not
When
bad
there's
at all.
other indoor fields where it's like once every other weekend.
Yeah, absolutely
That's not bad.
not. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's like, regardless what happened, the moment you put your hands on somebody, the whole thing just changed.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know,
you're done.
You're
Yeah, that's-
completely done,
yeah.
like permanently. No, you could have
Yeah.
0 points. You just got permabanned.
Yeah.
The other person will also get in trouble. We actually just had an incident where it even gave us like the person wrote a review, and then I checked the other day and the review was taken down.
Yeah.
But it was it's a whole bunch of he said, she said. So long story short, somebody full autoed somebody, and then in return they got full autoed. But from what I was told, and again, this is just what I'm being told. It could be 100% false.
Yeah.
Somebody pinned someone on the wall while somebody else full autoed the person that was pinned. Right? That was the last time. So the person that did the pinning and then the shooting of the person that's pinned, both got banned immediately, permanently. The person that did also potentially go full auto, we don't have any footage. We don't know if they 100% did, but they also did mention that they did at some point.
Yeah.
They also got banned as well. I think he got like a 1 or a 3 month ban, something like that. But he also got banned. You know, I know you had hands put on you. I'm really sorry. But you also didn't help the situation.
Were they teenagers?
One of them was.
South Park helped me realize that it's not so much speed softers or like it's teenagers.
Yeah.
It's like the way that they portrayed teenagers on that episode
Was spot on.
was perfect. Like,
Oh, it's 100%.
Like-
with indoors
and-
specifically.
and I mean, you definitely experience this here because you do tech work and you also just run a store, so people ask you questions, right? There's people that know when to Google simple things, and then there's the guys that just want information. Like, did you see that South Park episode?
I unfortunately did not.
Oh,
You did
should
not?
watch it.
Okay. There's a
Oh,
so
dude.
basically, all right, so long story short, the kids get into Airsoft. All the cliches are there, like parents walking into the store for the first time, all the questions that parents always ask, like, is this legal? That's all there. And when the kids play, they go and assign teams. And each of the kids, the 4 main characters got assigned to a teenager. And then during the episode, it was like their teenager, but it ended up really being like their kid. So like they'd be at home and then their teenager would call them and be like, bruh, I need to make ramen. And she's like, okay. I don't know how to do it. And they're just like angry, hormone like filled teenagers. And he's like, dude, you really don't know how to make ramen? Bruh. You know, like they can't,
Jesus.
like the lack of, I guess, independence,
Critical thinking.
critical thinking, but also just their attitudes in that episode, the entitlement, and so ironic and exemplified by the fact that now they're looking at these like 8-year-olds because the South Park, they never age, right? They're still 8. So these teenagers are asking these 8-year-olds how they make ramen. And then you get questions where people, it's like, okay, I'll help answer your questions. But, Google some of these because I'm not ChatGPT. Teenagers in Airsoft, the attitudes, the hormones, the modern generation of just like, bruh,
I give them.
I went on a weird tangent there.
No,
but
it's fine.
The whole point is
You brought-
teenagers.
You brought it back in.
Yeah.
It was good. I was waiting to see the landing.
It's falling with style.
I give them a little bit of a pass because they're on mind-altering hormones, man. And I see it with right now. Oh, we got to bleep that.
Yeah, but
It changes like everything. Their reaction to everything it doesn't make them stupid, but it makes them overreact to everything. So that is. I'm not saying I would let anybody fist fight in the middle of the field just to get their testosterone out or whatever the fuck. But like, you still got to carry yourself, like a human being. But a lot of the times, and this is just conflict resolution stuff. This guy just came in and full autoed me, shot me 4 times in the face. Hey, bud, come here. You've got 1 mark on your face.
oh, we've seen that.
Yeah. Did he come in and shoot you in the face? Does he have a green tag? Well, yeah, but he didn't have. My guy, this is Airsoft. You're going to get shot with BBs. He hit you 1 time in the face. He may have shot other times and missed or hit you somewhere else or whatever. But this is what you came up to me with. This guy came in, full autoed me in the face and hit me 4 times in the face. I'm looking at your face. There's only 1 mark. Chill out, man. Chill out. Yeah, okay, you're right. So it's like the teenage reaction is like an overreaction, but then you can bring them back down and like level them out. But
Most of the time.
most of the time,
I have no issues with most teenagers. My issue is the ones that get really mouthy because they are a teenager and they are a minor.
They can't walk
That
away.
hit me on the minor.
They can't walk away.
You know,
they always have to
because
say something on their
What are
way.
you going to do?
Yeah.
I'm a minor. And then they'll just start
We've heard
going
it.
off at people. And because of that one reason, our adult night is a hard 18.
yeah.
So our adult night's Thursdays. If you're turning 18 Friday, I'll see you next Thursday.
Yeah.
We don't care. It is a hard 18 up. Now, can an 18-year-old still be mouthy that way? Yes. But if, God forbid, if hands do get thrown, two adults, 18, hitting each other is one thing. The moment a minor gets involved in that, dude, it's a whole nother story that's 10 times worse.
Yeah.
And that's genuinely the reason why it's a super hard 18 up for adult night. You know, if you come in knowing it's all adults, it's all adults.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old that's going to be mouthing off because what are you going to do to them? You know, and it's just one of those different mentalities too. I feel like once you turn 18, you know, shit just got real. You kind of change a little bit. As much as you may not think you may have,
Yeah.
you do change a little bit. You know, you just naturally just become a little more aware most of the time. There's some people that still.
I'm sweating right now because of that scenario, because it's happened not at the field, but at an event I went to one time. And it just, I wanted to throw a brick at this kid's head, like, because he literally was
Just wouldn't stop.
He was talking shit. And he's like, "What are you going to do? Hit me. I'm a minor. Hit me. I'm a minor." And I was like trying to look around, like, "Can I find a minor? I will pay you. like, I want you to destroy this human being." And I think what I ended up telling him,
My minor can beat up your minor.
I think what I ended up telling him was like, "Hey man, you're not going to be a minor forever. You're not going to be able to hide behind that anymore. You know, once you hit that point." And I just walked away. I think Sean was with me too. So
That is super real. I'm going to steal that.
oh, brother. But on the inside, I was on fire from my toes to my hair follicles, dude. I was like, oh.
You think a kid will ever get a fake ID to play adult night?
I mean, if you do, that literally breaks the law.
Yeah.
So now even
Back in my day, we used fake IDs to get booze. Yeah.
so-
to play
so-
Airsoft.
Fake IDs play maybe worse.
the best part about it is, do you really want to commit fraud? Because that's literally fraud.
Well, we've
It
had
is.
people try to do that recently.
Recently?
Oh,
The
the player
three
base?
shitters over the summer, lying about their age.
I called him about that. Actually.
Yeah. Well, no, because
You
that's
were in like Aruba or something.
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
yeah, the kids were lying about their age on the waiver. Kid was lying about his name.
Oh yeah. I asked him. Okay, yeah, we were checking in waivers, right?
Yeah.
And I was standing there, and I think Kevin was checking it in, and he was like, "What's your name?" And he said, I can't remember. He said some name, and then I was like, "Oh," he said his last name was like Cruz, and I was like, "Okay, cool. How do you spell it?" And he did the pause, like, and then I looked at him. I was like, "You don't know how to spell your own last name?" I was like, "Hey, man, you realize that's like really suspect, right?" And I was like, "Everybody knows how to spell the last name." Like, and I'm thinking like, I got to be careful here because maybe this person has a learning disability that I don't know about or whatever. But it didn't seem like that, and he couldn't spell Cruz, C-R-U-Z. He couldn't spell Cruz. It wasn't like Velasquez. No, it was Cruz. And I was like, that's odd. So then I started looking up. So then we found his waiver, and it was like some BS freaking name. And then his buddies were like, "That's his nickname. That's his nickname." I was like, "Cool, you're under." Oh, his age was wrong.
Yeah.
Like everything about it was bad. And so we finally got that situated. I called his mom, and I was like, "Hey, you can't use a nickname on what could potentially become a legal document. Like it needs to be his actual name."
It is a legal document.
And then they were sitting at the safety brief, and they were just messing around. If you're not paying attention to the safety brief, we have to make you watch it again. That's just the way it is, right? So put your phones in your pockets. Don't be messing with anything. Just watch it. It's 8.5 minutes. Just watch it. It's a video. Like, just watch it. And they couldn't do that. So then one of our staff was like, "Hey, you guys are messing around. Like, you're going to need to watch the video again." And their reaction was like, "Wow, God, wow." And then that's when I stepped in. I was like, "Hey, I'm not getting a warm and fuzzy." And they were like, "What does that mean?" And I was like, "I don't feel comfortable with you guys I was like, you gave me fake names. Your ages were all messed up. And now you can't even sit through an 8-minute video. I was like, at this point, I'm going to, as a business owner, I'm going to deny you service. And they're like, what does that mean? I was like, that means you're going to come over to the register. I'm going to give you a refund and you're going to leave. And they're like, oh, and then that was like that was like setting off dynamite. They instantly reverted. Like all the reasons why like I was having a bad feeling all came out all at the same time. Dude, they started, fuck you, fuck this place, fucking like all of them. And I was just like, there it is.
Yep.
Like there it is. But I was like, hey, because we do this, like, we're like, hey man, we're not the only place to play. Like if you cool off, you know, you can go down to Full Auto, Pearl River. And he was like, oh, we can't. And I was like, finish that sentence, because we're banned there too. Yeah, no shit, right? Like, no shit, you're banned there, right?
It typically starts with us. And then it trickles down to all the other places, and then inevitably everybody or the people get completely banned.
You have a good Airsoft social credit system going on.
Yeah, we try.
The 12-point system and social credit score.
We try, but we also, like, don't get me wrong, like I've gone to some lengths too. Like one time I was coming in late, and what was it? As I was pulling in, I literally typically park right out front next to the door. I open my door and I see 2 kids with dye masks on, walking out, bags packed and everything. And I'm like, that's kind of sus.
Yeah.
You're walking out with your dye mask on. I walk inside real quick, and they go, and as I'm walking in, Corey's kind of just like walking out, trying to figure out where they went. So apparently game started, booked to the other spawn, and just unloaded 2 EPM ones, both of them,
Jeez.
2 EPM ones a piece into everybody on full auto. And it ripped. Like it wasn't like 20, 25 rounds a second. We're talking like 35, 40 rounds a second. And then as soon as they finished their mags, literally went up the side, dipped, put all their stuff in the bags, and walked out.
All right, get ready to bleep this, Jordan. That's like an Airsoft equivalent of a like that is some malicious fatherless behavior right there.
Well, think about, obviously they didn't pay for their entry. Were they 15 years old?
Oh no, it gets worse.
Well, but I'm saying is that they wasted whatever the entry is to play one game to do what? To get
I don't know how many games they played.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how many they played. I don't know if it was a couple and then it happened. I can't remember. But the reason I say it gets worse is because I was like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure out who they are, and I'm going to let the parent know.
Yeah.
So I went outside and I walked all the way up to the next block, walked around, went around the like I was outside for like 15, 20 minutes. It was cold. It was wintertime.
Yeah.
And as I was kind of coming down the train, not the train tracks themselves, but like where you board on, as I was coming down, I kind of see 2 kids with bags up on the street getting into a Jetta, and I booked it. Come up next to the car. They both just got into the car after putting their stuff in the trunk, and I knock on the window, and they both just turn and look at me and go, yeah, because they saw me getting out of my car. So they knew, like, I obviously had something to do with it. And the reason I say it gets worse is because I was like, hey, I was talking to the mom. I was like, hey, man, unfortunately, your kids did some really messed up stuff that could technically bring charges against them because it is assault. So we can do this one of 2 ways. Either A, you can just give me their names and we'll put them on the ban list. They're permanently banned. She goes, oh, they're banned. I was like, yeah. I was like, I just told you they committed borderline assault on on like a number of people. It's not even 1 or 2. Like you're talking multiple counts of assault. And I was like, so you can either give me their names and all their information. We can just put them on the ban list and they're never allowed back. Or if you don't want to, if you give me false information, I will make sure that charges get pressed. And she gave me all the information, all the names and everything. And they are permanently banned. I think they were like 14 or 15.
Yeah.
I won't let those kids come back till they're 20 minimum.
Dude, they don't know how to cook cup ramen. They don't know how to do it.
No, well, it's that age bracket because those kids that I kicked out, same age bracket.
I'm starting to wonder if they were the same kids.
They might have been the same kids, actually. The mom was funny. Well,
it was a white Jetta.
Well, no, this was like a black SUV, but she came into the shop and found me, and she was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so sorry. And I could just tell, like,
that mom didn't even apologize.
They had put this mom through the ringer. She like smacked the back of this kid's head as they got in, and they were like, again. She was like, again. And so I was like, yeah, okay, we made the right decision here. Like,
We've had a couple of those.
You were earlier asking him about him starting Airsoft, and I kind of intervened.
That's
so
fine. That's fine. We'll circle back. So how did you get into this crazy community?
Are we talking 2007 or 2011?
When did you start playing?
2007.
2007. And then, because I remember at Zulu's old location, you were like just starting. You had a van and a business partner too back then.
No, I was always solo.
Who was the other guy?
Which guy?
Oh, my memory's so bad. Beard, kind of large fellow.
He was the tech.
Oh, okay.
Yep. He was a tech at the time. He helped me out. Because it was a lot of stuff to move. I literally had a van filled to the brim with product at that point.
It was like a white van with no windows, right?
Yep. It was
free candy on the back.
It was it was a Ford E250 extended.
Yeah.
So hey kid, you want a JGS system?
What can you say? No, your field was actually not the first field I went to.
Okay.
So when I first started playing the sport in 2007. Stumbled across, went into a friend's house and literally went up the stairs and looked over to the left. I don't know what made me look over to the left, but I saw an airsoft gun sitting there. It probably something I just saw on my peripherals, and I was like, what's that?
Yeah.
It looked like a gun to me, right? So I see it and I'm like, dude, what's that? And he was kind of reserved about it. He didn't really want to share what it was, what he did or anything, which at the time, 2007, everybody was hush-hush about it.
Yeah.
Airsoft wasn't like, what do you do? Oh, I play Airsoft,
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like that. It was a very close, tight-knit community that did not speak. That kind of got me into it. And I was like, dude, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So I got my first gun when I was 18. It was literally, I was 18 at the time. And I used to drive down to Delaware every Sunday and play behind Polar Star.
Oh, get out of here.
Yep. So
were they called Polar Star back then?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. They've been around a while.
Were they making
They did
Airsoft?
not complete the Fusion engine yet.
Right. So they're a machine shop.
Yeah, they started making sniper parts.
So they've been a machine shop prior to that, not Airsoft related, just machinists.
Yes.
And then they got into Airsoft.
Yeah, he started making
that's pretty
sniper
neat.
parts first, and then that's when he, I guess, transitioned into making the Fusion engine. So the name of the place is this, and I'm sorry if this is taken in the wrong way. It was called Ghetto Blaster.
Okay.
Because it was literally, imagine a highway, and then I do not condone doing this now. It is way worse. It was a highway, major highway, and then next to that was a huge industrial park. And then we played in the woods behind it.
Oh, okay.
So it was completely secluded.
Yeah.
We were like walking in like 200 feet and it was gun bags. We still treated like how we would treat it today, but we'd walk in like 200 feet into the woods. There was no way you'd see us. And we would just run games. It was just like a group of people that knew we were meeting up. So I would literally leave at 5:30 in the morning.
They probably thought you were going back there to smoke pot. Yeah. They're like, why are they walking all the way back in the woods there?
In tactical gear, yes. We're tactically smoking. We would literally go there. I'd leave at 5:30 in the morning. I'd get there at around like 8, 9 o'clock. Play till 5:30, and then leave and be home by 9 p.m. And I did that for like 2 years.
Wow.
And then that was like, 2010, I started doing milsims.
Yeah.
And after I started doing milsims, 2011, I remember summer of 2011, I went to an event in Pennsylvania. It was Operation Northern Light, Lion Claws.
Oh shit, I went to that one.
Northern Light?
Yeah, I went to
at the antifreeze factory.
Yeah.
No way. All right, cool.
That was my first event.
That was my first event.
Get out of here.
That was my first like big milsim event. And I went there and I saw Amped Airsoft with their, at that time still, incredible tent.
Yeah.
And then I saw another small tent, which was actually C7 Viper.
Yeah.
And a partner at the time started Rapid Fire Airsoft. And it was just a single 10 by 10 tent. And I'm looking at them and I'm like,
Wait.
Rapid fire airsoft, full auto airsoft, forced reset airsoft.
It did inspire the name, yes.
Yeah, right.
Bump stock airsoft.
So they were doing that. And I mean, at the time I was like 19, 20 years old.
Yeah.
At the time I was working for a company and honestly, I was making great money. I was pretty set. Like I almost didn't have to do anything, but what pushed me to it was there was no good stores around, and every store was completely just annihilating you on price. And then you had to go to California. So I was like, I want to offer something better. So that, along with the fact of seeing them being young and doing it themselves, that was kind of like the whole, if they can do it, you can do it.
Sure.
That was that moment for me. So I played the event and everything, and I was like, you know what? I think the following week, I literally went home and I literally started the paperwork and made it a sole proprietorship.
And what year was that?
2011.
Now in 2011, man, I knew about airsoft back then. I don't remember what, I guess, like the online presence or industry looked like back then. In 2011, what was Evic the big store back then? Was that still Bob vs. Tim Airsoft GI days, or was that even before that?
No,
Okay.
that wasn't even Bob. Tim. Bob didn't exist.
Right.
It was Tim.
Yeah,
Airsplat.
Just Tim.
Airsplat was still like
So it was Airsplat.
Air Rattle.
Airsoft Megastore.
I
It's
don't.
like big.
I don't
Megastore was
remember.
around.
They were around, but they weren't
big.
big. Airsoft GI was the company.
Yeah.
That was the company you went to. They were like the equivalent of Evic today, which is crazy considering what's happened to them.
Red Wolf.
Red Wolf. Yeah, I never looked into Red Wolf just because I didn't want to order stuff from overseas.
Nobody did. Yeah.
But Airsoft GI, one of my guns was an Airsoft GI custom, which was a G&G with a Daniel Defense rail on the front.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know?
Same.
So it's that was actually a gun I used at Northern Light.
Nice.
That started. Spartan Imports was one of the distributors. Palco Sports was another distributor back then.
Palco Sports. Oh my God.
They don't exist anymore.
Oh man.
Remember Kapowie?
Kapowie? Never heard of that.
Oh, that was a big airsoft store in Texas.
Oh no.
Yeah, they were same time frame. You could order like their $50 mystery box, and they were sending you 12 broken guns.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
Honestly, dude, once I started the company, so it was August 2011 when I kind of made it an official company, and once I did that, it was grind time.
Oh yeah.
And so I was working at my 9 to 5, and then grinding on this till like 1 o'clock, and I did that from September till I think I started going to fields. So the first field I ever went to and vended at was out in Pennsylvania, right outside of King of Prussia. That was another like 2.5 hour drive.
Jesus.
Dude, I grinded hard.
Did you make money for your gas? Holy
Yeah.
cow, an Econoline van?
It actually, so it was a large group of guys that were actually going. It was like a solid 30, 40 guys that would go every weekend. And that was on Sundays actually. Cause I can't remember. I think I was coming to, that was Saturdays. And then I was coming to you guys on Sundays afterwards. So
40 is a lot for 2011.
Yeah, no, it was huge. And the reason why it was so big was because one of the owners, or one of the people that was running the games, his family also owned a rock quarry. So they were running games at the rock quarry.
Nice.
So cool. They were there. And then there was another area that they did get permission from the town. It was like deep into the woods, but there was abandoned buildings. And they got permission from the town. And pretty much it was you come at your own risk type of thing. So people did. And I just went and I would, truck everything into the woods and set up a tent. And that's what I did for like, oh God, dude. I think I did that until March 2012.
Yeah, let's talk about your first location over there in, was it Emerson?
Yes. Yeah. Emerson, New Jersey. In March is when I was kind of like, I need to open up my first store. Yeah. So found the location, small little shop right on Kinderkmack Road in Emerson. Right. And I was like, it's on a main strip. It's in the middle of a town, kind of like this, main strip, middle of a town. I was like, perfect spot.
Yeah.
And started there in 2012. Opened the doors July 3rd, 2012.
Yeah, I think you were putting down tile first time I went there. I can't remember. Whatever.
Was that the day the day I passed out or no?
No, I don't know about that.
Yeah. So I got so caffeinated one day that I literally in the middle of tiling the floor, just sugar high hit me and caffeination just cut out, and I just face planted into the thin set. Yep. You want to talk about devotion, guys?
Yeah.
This side of my face was covered in thin set. Yeah, thankfully my brother was there and he picked me up and got me out of it. But
holy shit.
Yeah, literal blood, sweat, and tears went into that building. And it took about 2 months to get that place set up because it was a vanilla box. So it was just concrete floors, white walls. That was it. And got it open July 3rd and off to the races.
Yeah, you guys were there for a long time.
Yep.
Well, I mean, technically you still have it, but when did you guys move the store here?
So this place opened with a store.
Okay.
And the place opened in May, and I decided to close the other location as a walk-in location in August.
Yeah.
Just because between May and August.
And that was like a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that was in 2022.
Right.
So between May and August, our walk-in customer count dropped by 90%.
Oh, fantastic.
Because do you want to go to a 450 square foot little store or an almost 3,000 square foot, you know, like superstore in comparison to that one? So it was kind of just like I've got this location. I've got it for dirt cheap. I literally pay almost nothing in rent. So I was like, I don't want to get rid of it because it's like almost warehouse space at this point. So I turned it and left it as Full Auto Airsoft's online fulfillment center.
Okay.
Because Full Auto Airsoft, Full Auto Arena are two separate companies. Nothing intermingles. No inventory intermingles. Nothing intermingles between the two as far as like operations and all that. Mm-hmm. So kept that open so that it could just still continue. I mean, it was a 12-year-old company. I didn't want to kill that history of business for just having a new larger location. So I kept it as a web store, and that's kind of what it is till this day.
Nice. Still doing good?
Yeah.
Nice.
Doing all right. All right. We have somebody there pretty much 3 out of the 5 days a week. Whenever it's a slow time, he'll work from home. But 3 out of 5 days a week, he's typically there and fulfill orders, do whatever he needs to do, and kind of go from there.
Nice. So now let's talk about the trials and tribulations of convincing the town that you're not a terrorist organization.
So this helps a lot.
Not your beard. It's not your beard. Your beard doesn't
just
help.
about to make a beard joke.
So for anybody that doesn't know, Pearl River, New York is a heavy Irish town.
Clearly, with the 7 Irish puffs right outside.
So they have the second largest St. Patty's Day parade in the country.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I shut down that weekend. I don't even bother.
There's no point. Yeah.
Nope, don't want guns and alcohol to get mixed. It helps that my wife is also Irish.
There you go.
I got to tell you, that was one of my saving graces.
Wow.
She's also a paralegal, which helps me with law stuff, so that also helps. But her being Irish did kind of help.
Fantastic.
So
I thought you were going to be like, no, we're not terrorists. We're training the IRA. It's different.
Well, do you have like law enforcement come in here and rent it to train for anything? Like, do you have groups like that, or?
So I'll be honest with you, man. I've only had law enforcement in here, 2 different departments come in here, and I actually didn't even charge them.
Yeah, same. Over the 14 years, we've had like 6 or 8, right? Or maybe 10, right? And they're all like, yeah, this would be great to come train, we'll work something out, and then they come once and then leave and never come back.
No,
like, what the fuck?
Oh no, I've had so I don't want to say what group it was or anything, but I had an elite group of officers.
Just say Delta Force. Delta Force.
No. It was
SEAL Team 6.
It
Delta
was
Force.
police.
It was Delta
but
Force.
It was like Delta equivalent SWAT level.
Oh, is
FBI
Can't
HRT.
confirm nor deny.
It's fine. We're just going to keep saying it.
So long story short, they were like, we'd love to train here. And dude, they came for like 4 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were coming like once a week for 4 months, and they would come in. I told them, listen, as long as the place isn't being rented out, cool, free game. You can come in whenever we're here. You could use the place up, just clean up whatever mess you may make or anything like that. And that's all I ask, and you can have the place for free.
Were they quasi-local?
Within an hour of here.
Okay.
Their department was within an hour of here.
Yeah. No, I was thinking like, man, you could use that with the town, like be in the good graces of the town?
I've literally told the town too. I was like, listen, if you guys ever want to come down, I was like, we can work something out so that it's almost nothing for you. And, other than just travel and getting your guys together, and I'll give you a place to kind of use and utilize and be able to get some practice in. If you want, I can call some friends and they can be your opposition. So everyone can train simultaneously because you're supposed to be a team.
Yeah.
So like I've done all that, and it's happened a couple of times.
Nice.
So I like, at the end of the day, like, let's be honest, it is a business. Doors need to stay open. Money has to be spent in here. It's not a charity.
Lights aren't free.
But the way I kind of see it is, if I give them a place to use, then maybe they'll buy the airsoft guns to use.
To play. You know how many law enforcement officers actually just play airsoft?
Yeah,
like
a lot.
A ton.
And have kids and want to bond with their kids, and maybe their kids are like interested in what dad does for work and they want to do something to kind of emulate that. Mm-hmm. That's the thing they do.
Yeah.
My favorite is when they come in with no gun bag.
Well,
and I just look at them. I'm like, of all people.
Yeah.
Of all people, you should know. Like, you don't walk around with just a gun in your hands. But
I'm a
cop. He's like, who's going to stop me? The police?
Yeah.
Literally, that's the answer half the time. That's the answer. And I'm like, I hope your badge is like real easy to get to. And you could just like lift your shirt up and show your badge type of thing.
Your appendix carries his badge. Hold on.
But yeah, it's been an interesting road. But yeah, with law enforcement, military, anything like that, I don't charge them. Now, if you're coming to use the place, like we've had people rent the place out for our hourly rate, but then sell a course.
Oh, gotcha.
So they'll literally rent our place out. So our place is $350 an hour when it's off peak, meaning when it's not open to the public.
Yeah.
And they'll rent the place out for, we'll say 4 hours, and then they'll sell a course to 10 people at $350.
Yeah. So
now 4 out of the 10 paid for the place, and then the other 6 is just straight profit for them. So in 4 hours, they made 318, like $2,000.
Yeah.
In 4 hours, that's insane money. So, and they can literally use this room as a classroom. We have the TV up so they could put up stuff like that. And then they use the field for whatever course it is that they're doing.
The practical application.
Yeah.
Do airsoft teams come in?
We have had teams in the past come in and rent the place out, like on a Saturday early before we open it up type of thing, to be able to do training before Milsims and stuff.
Do competitive speedsofters train like that? Like, do they have team strategies where they're like using whiteboard demonstrations about sweeping and like, but for airsoft specifically for their competitive game?
I have seen it been used.
Are they successful?
During events, I've seen it been used. I haven't seen it be used while practicing, but I'm also not like hovering. So I really don't know what they're doing half the time. But
when you walk by, they get real quiet. Like
it has happened, but they'll have an iPad with like the design layout of what the field is, and they'll just kind of, practice and show like, hey, obviously from this side, you can see this whole angle from here. So, we'll have you sit here and so on and so forth. The reason why you see a lot of it game day is because the field layout isn't typically announced till day of. Mm-hmm. So all the barriers are 100% modular. We literally just pick them up with a hand truck, like a heavy duty hand truck, but we pick them up with a hand truck and we can move them around however we please. So we'll have it one layout, and then literally the night before we'll completely change the layout. So when everybody comes in, it's a fresh layout for everybody.
Now, is that industry standard in terms of
yes.
Speedsoft? That is? Okay.
Yeah. It's a fresh layout. The layout design is not supposed to be released. I don't know if people release it or whatnot, but leak, but
friend of a friend.
Yeah. But it's typically supposed to be day 1, you get to go and see it and practice on it. Then day 2, competition starts. So like big events, that's how they typically.
Oh, so they get like a day of practice on it.
They get a day of practice and a day, but it's the same for everybody.
Yeah.
Like nobody's supposed to have any type of edge of seeing what the design is or being able to practice on that design prior. Because at the end of the day, the more you practice on anything, the better you're going to become on it.
Did you make the main field modular as well?
The main field is not as modular as anybody would like it to be, just because
emergency exits, entrances, respawns,
all that, and also it's with it just being wall sections. You can't really make it modular without making it uber expensive.
Yeah.
Like those systems that pick them up and move the walls around and then put them down, like they're stupid expensive.
Yeah.
And then my concern still on top of that with my wife and my background, because my wife does personal injury. So she would literally be the law firm that would be suing me. So she comes in and she's just like, that needs to get all fixed because that's all liability. So like we went over everything with her and it was.
That's like cheat codes.
Yeah. Oh, she came up with our waiver. You've seen our waiver. Have you ever seen my waiver?
No, I haven't felt it.
Have you ever been to a gun range?
Yeah, I've been.
It's almost the same.
Yeah.
Our waiver's 5 pages long.
That's a lot of pages.
Yeah. And I literally had one attorney come up with it, and then I had my wife go over it to see how bulletproof it was. And apparently I have like one of the most bulletproof surveys or waivers you can have pretty much in the airsoft industry.
Yeah.
Actually, Die Mask, one of my reps from there was like, everybody says there's bulletproof. And then he read mine and he was like, yeah, you weren't kidding. Yeah. This is no joke. So, but yeah, she goes through and she kind of helps with what, her eyes would see as the person that would be suing someone. Hey, I could totally nitpick at this and that and kind of go from there.
Yeah.
So we decided modular wasn't the best idea. And just bolting everything down. Now we do move things around. We try to move it around frequently. In almost 3 years, we've changed the field like 4 or 5 times. So it's a constant change.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like every time I've come for gas gun night, it's been slightly different than it was the time before, which is just fresh enough for me to be like, this is still super entertaining.
Yeah, we definitely try. I mean, I'm not going to take any of that credit. Not taking any of that credit. That is 100% the management. They like I said, they just have the same idea of what I feel would be a great facility.
Yeah.
And they just execute it amazingly.
I mean, even seeing the walkthrough we did when we were looking for a spot to do the podcast, seeing how much it's changed since the last time I came. Now I want to come back for the next gas gun night because like it looks way different because I haven't been in like 2 or 3 months. So now the larger change that's happened over that time frame is like, yeah, I want to play on this. This looks cool.
So we also changed gas gun night.
Did you?
Yeah, it's every other week now.
Oh.
Adult night and gas blowback night alter every other Thursday.
Oh, I thought it was still once a month.
Nope. As of January, we changed it because it was just so popular.
Yeah,
Damn,
Now I have to buy a gas gun.
I still have a bunch. Because I was here for the first gas gun night, and there was like 12 or 15 people, which was perfect. I didn't realize the player count has progressively went up from there because I think the most busy it's been when I was here for that was like 38 people, give or take. And that was wild.
Because of that, we decided to go twice to kind of help break it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because realistically, 20, 25 is like kind of ideal.
Yeah,
12 on each side is
Yeah.
kind of ideal. So we're trying to offer it enough so that it never becomes too hectic.
Yeah.
And it just quality gameplay. I will say gas blowback night, 100% the best night of the month.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not really into the indoor scene, but
Best night insofar as like turnout or insofar as like
Quality of play.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause
Quality of
everybody's
play,
on
quality of people, all of that.
Yeah.
Everyone's on a level playing field because that we've talked about it on the podcast before. I've said I like how you guys do gas gun night because I feel like you do it right. Green gas only or CO2 only, no propane, no map gas, no HPA tapped.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, it's like, it's not dudes running around with high capas with drum mags.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a dude with some HPA tapped shotgun running around just blasting walls. Like you actually have to suffer with the rest of us with gas gun mags.
So there is actually one gun we allow that doesn't use gas gun magazines.
Shotguns?
Nope. So those use the little shells.
Yeah.
Right? But they're still 30 rounds.
Yeah.
And it's 10 pumps and that's it. So the Lev AR from G&G.
Oh, you let that one go?
But huge stipulation. You have to use the OEM magazine. The little stubby magazine is a 32 round mag.
Those only hold like 30.
And we could see that from across the field. If you have a mag sticking out of the mag well, we know you're not using it and we'll rip you off the field. But if you're using that OEM mag that's 32 rounds, by all means, go right ahead because it's a fun gun. And you think about it, it takes longer to shoot that than an AR.
Yeah.
So even though the gas consumption's in the gun and not necessarily in the magazine.
Yeah, but if you were going to allow like the TM870, same concept. So it's like, if you're going to allow one, you have to allow both.
Yeah, but like the ESG 10, the shotgun, the 5 or 10 shot shotgun from G&G, those we don't allow because you have to use a full size mag because of how deep the mag well is. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to be concerned with, are you slipping in a 120 round instead of a 30 round mag?
Yeah, I was gonna say you could go super into the weeds and be like, you have to use like the K120s that have the 30 round mag stop feature.
But then you can just flip it and use 120, which is where the Lev AR came into play. We just need to see the fact that it doesn't stick out and it's the original magazine, and we automatically know you can't fill more than 32 rounds in it.
Yeah,
so
that's slick.
That's the only non-gas in the magazine powered gun that we allow that night, but we are super strict with it.
How do you feel about the Flak 10? Or even like adjacent models of shotguns, like the G&G one that came out that's similar, or the new Wolverine one that came out?
Haven't seen the Wolverine one.
Same.
The G&G we allow only on 5-shot. Mm-hmm. We do not allow 10-shot. We kind of treat it like the same as full auto. 10 shots equivalent to full auto. So stay off.
Does that gun have a single barrel like the Flak
Yes.
10? And that's technically not a shotgun.
So, but it does spread.
It does.
It does spread because the barrel actually, have you ever taken one apart?
The G&G, no.
So so the gun, like let's say the gun's 3 feet long, the barrel ends at the 2 foot mark.
So it
ends 1/3 away from the front of the actual barrel.
Right.
So it gives time that distance alone for it to start spreading. That's one of the reasons why the barrel doesn't go all the way to the end.
Mm-hmm. Does it have like a muzzle device that helps with the spread?
So right after the BB where the comes out, the big massive barrel that you see is literally just big and hollow all the way down to it.
Right.
So it gives it even room inside of there to spread as well.
Have you messed with the Flak 10 before?
Never.
We filmed. We didn't release it yet because it's not done being edited. We did a
No, it's done being edited. You have not filled out the revision sheet. Don't blame me for that one. That's on you.
We did a Forgotten Weapons parody on the Flak 10, and I was like pretending to be Ian McCollum, and so we got to mess with the Flak 10 a little bit. Amp let us borrow it. It's a really weird gun, and
they actually made a choke for it. So like
it has with
a real shotgun, how you can change the choke out to adjust the spread. They have 2 different ones. So it's like this one gives it a tighter spread as opposed to a wider spread. I'm gonna be honest with you, that gun still sucks.
Yeah, no, I don't
like.
You have to HPA tap it.
You'd have to HPA tap it. It would probably be really good if you did, but it's still like on green gas. We got like 10 trigger pulls before it ran out, and this was outside in like 65, 70 degree weather. So like it just sucks.
And the way that the trigger like lets air down the barrel, it feels like you basically just took an air compressor.
Yeah, it's like
like like the $5 DIY airsoft gun. It's like a soda bottle with an air compressor. Like that's pretty much what happens when you pull the trigger, and it doesn't feel like a break. It just feels like a when you pull it. It's really weird.
And if you don't immediately release off the trigger, it's going to continue to leak green gas down the barrel until you release the trigger.
I mean, that's what happens when a company decides to not.
Yeah.
They're not around anymore, so they can't make revisions.
Their website's up and their Instagram's still up.
Well, we can talk shit about other companies here in a minute, but I got to pee, gentlemen.
You want to take a break?
Yeah, let's take a break.
Not a problem. Big thing is, don't just buy AAPL ones.
Oh, I don't even want AAPL ones.
Cool, then they'd love you.
When I tried,
just because I get them through amps with the homie hookup.
The homie hookup.
Yeah, no. So everyone, 9 out of 10 people that open accounts with ASGs because they want the Action Army.
I have no interest.
When I first started my account with them, I just wanted the ASG Infinity motor.
Yeah, that was a really good motor when it first came out.
Yeah, that at the time that was like
top tier.
The bet. And brushless has just taken over.
Evos and AUGs, that's about it because. To be honest with you, most of the players in Zulu don't even want AAPL ones. Like the difference between what customers that come here to play indoor would buy versus what customers come to the outdoor field to buy. Yes, they're both airsoft, but they're so vastly different. It's like maybe in the last year I've had one person walk in going, "Hey, do you have AAPL ones?" You guys probably sell a fuck ton of them.
I average like 30 or 40 a month.
Yeah, we've had one customer walk in asking.
I mean, it's just the price point, dude. $105. You get a semi and full auto gun that uses Glock magazines, Glock parts half the time.
The aftermarket support is insane for it.
Yeah.
But it's like there was the high Kappa, and then guns had like aftermarkets. But then the AAPL one came, and now it's like, oh my God, there's now another platform that you can get parts for, which means you can get parts for Glocks because a lot of those parts are Glock parts. Weedsack Glock parts.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes and no.
Illegal Glock parts.
Yeah, but that's right there. That's like the fine line difference where it's like the AAPL one is a great gun to use, and it's a great gun to build out for like using it indoor because there's not a big heavy slide you're moving back and forth. Zulu is primarily an open play field, but also geared a little bit towards the milsim side of it. So every player that walks in the door is like, I want a Glock, I want a SIG, I want an M&P. Like those guns, we have no problem selling. If I put an AAPL on out there, maybe I'd sell it it probably would sit because the people that come to the field are looking for those more milsim heavy guns. Like I have more customers coming in asking about upgrading a Glock as opposed to finding a gun like that.
Are you familiar with Gary's Mod, like that game? So it's like it's kind of like a workshop. So people like Gary's Mod is basically like this base game that people just use to make custom stuff. So there's like Left 4 Dead 2, which is a game, and then there's Gary's Mod Left 4 Dead, and it's pretty much like Left 4 Dead, but you can still tell you're playing Gary's Mod. Like the animations aren't quite the same. It's almost like you're modding it. The AAPL1 is kind of like the Gary's Mod of guns because with all these 3D printed conversion kits.
Oh, like the drill kit.
There was a guy when I went to Gas Gun Night. There was a player here, and he had come to the field one day with this G11, and it was just this 3D printed housing for the AAPO1. And the best part was like the charging handle, like actually reciprocated with the slide when he shot it.
Yeah,
and it was so goofy, but it was just like
it's cool.
You know,
I mean, it's crazy what they. I don't know if you know, but if you take an AAPL1 and just put a 200 mil barrel on it,
oh yeah,
it shoots 400.
Oh yeah,
on
I've
green
seen
gas.
it. Yeah, I've seen it.
So like it becomes pretty usable outdoors.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not. It's not so much the usability aspect because like I shot him. It's the shape. That's the problem. Is it looks like a 22 LR fucking pistol.
The DeWalt drill.
Yeah,
conversion
and it's cool.
kits.
But that's what I'm getting at is where like the dude's walking in going, "Hey, I'm gonna buy a new pistol." They don't want one that looks like that. Even though the Elite Force Glock and that are almost identical internally in terms of what they actually do, and they shoot pretty much the exact same. It's easier to sell a Glock at Zulu than it is an AAPO1. So if we open an ASG account, I probably wouldn't even be ordering AAPO1.
They'd love it.
Yeah.
Then you're buying all the other stuff they want. So
yeah, I'd be buying AUGs and EVOs and all of their rifles. And don't they still have the CZ pistol line?
Yeah.
Yeah, those.
Yeah, they have the full line of CZs.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be touching the AAPO1s because it would be next to impossible to sell it at Zulu.
Speaking of pistols, you have become known in the industry for your high kappa build.
Yeah, I was just about to go there. I was like, I'm a FUD with gas pistols.
Yeah.
I'm like, give me a CO2 Elite Force VFC made gun, right? That I can just get OEM replacement parts for. I'll use it till it breaks, and then I'll replace it. So like my Glock, I just go on WGC shop in Hong Kong, and I'll just buy like a dozen blowback housings, and I'll go through a blowback housing like every couple months.
You should switch to green gas.
But the CO2 hit. So this is the
same way. I use a GHK Glock.
The one that I have is the law enforcement edition, the Spartan one.
Yeah,
which is like a 19, but it has like the 17 blowback housing and will run the CO2 mags. I haven't tried green gas through it, but the point is I'm a FUD with gas pistols, and I've done one high kappa build for a customer only because I'm really cool with him and he sends me everything and he's like, I only want you to do it. I was like, there are people that can build your high kappa way better than me. Yeah. And I was like, I don't do it. But he was like, I insist you learn how to do it. So I like did it and it was all right. But then I see the high kappas you do. When anybody comes to me wanting a high kappa build, I'm just like full auto. Like they host indoor tournaments where these guys are using high kappas. They're making like the way I'm making guns to like withstand the rain and Milsom West. It's like you're building high kappas for its its peak application.
Yeah.
I mean, we also build them for Zulu all the time.
Yeah,
you know,
do.
Black sells the most. You know, Black upgrade parts sell the most because it's dude. We build a lot of. There's a lot of high kappas that come up to you guys.
What's Black upgrade parts?
Like matte black,
like just the color, just the color. Yeah. Because
yeah.
there's an entire literally plethora rainbow of color options to choose from. But Black literally sells the fastest. I'll buy 3 times more of the Black slide versus any other color, and I'll still sell out of Black before I sell out the other colors.
The pink and the rainbow don't sell well?
Yeah, the rainbow is the only other one. Rainbow is the only other one. But
so what got you into the high caps? Was it just demand or?
So it all kind of started right when COVID started opening back up. Looking to see just what was kind of big, and that's when high kappas exploded.
Yeah.
I mean, all the mom and pop shops that started up during COVID. You know, a lot of custom this and we build custom that all started because of COVID. People were stuck home looking for ways to make money.
Yeah.
And people had stimulus checks to spend.
Yep.
Like I didn't form my LLC until after COVID. I always did it, right? And it was not something that kept me busy enough to have to actually form it as a business. But I thought it would go down. I was like, people aren't playing Airsoft, but everybody wanted tech work. I got so busy that I was like, all right, I guess this is a real thing now. COVID is why Antec Airsoft is an LLC.
COVID is why this building exists.
Yeah.
Literally, and what's crazy is, and a lot of people don't know this, I was 30 days away from selling full auto airsoft.
I remember that. I wasn't going to bring that up unless you did, but
Yep.
I remember.
Thank you, Fauci.
Yeah, I remember us having that conversation.
They say there's another virus coming soon too.
Yeah.
Except this president's not going to give stimmies, I don't think.
But
New variant.
It wasn't the stimulation. It wasn't the stims checks that made it explode. It was everyone being stuck at home.
Looking
watching
on the
YouTube
internet.
videos.
Yes.
And then there's so many YouTube videos you can watch before it's like, all right, this is the end of what I'm watching. Here's your recommended.
Yeah.
And then just Airsoft was just put in front of so many people.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, I used to be like, they'll be like, oh, what do you do? Like, do you know what Airsoft is? Nope.
okay.
And now I could literally just go up to any random mom. You know what Airsoft is? And I want to say like 8 out of 10 times they'll be like, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's a shocker. It's because of that. That literally is what opened the floodgates. People just being stuck home and seeing videos.
When I call like a credit card company or a bank or like to do business stuff and I have to explain what my business is to them, and I'm like, have you heard of Airsoft? They're like, oh yeah, my son plays Airsoft. I know all about it. And it's so different now.
Mm-hmm.
Remember how
awesome.
you used to have to explain it? You're like, okay.
So it's like
It's like
paintball.
paintball.
Yeah.
It's like paintball.
How do you, does it hurt? How do you know when you've been hit?
Yeah.
There's no pain.
You bleed.
But yeah, that time frame is when it exploded, and it was like a good and a bad thing all at once.
Yeah.
Because while I was trying to get parts, so was everyone else.
Sure. Yep.
So
Yep.
the scarcity of parts, not gonna lie, I definitely funneled it my way. Put way too much money, but worked out. I was literally buying e-bikes inventory. Every distributor in the United States, I was buying everything they had.
Yeah.
Not one or two. At one point, I had almost 1,000 high capas at my old shop because I was literally buying everything everyone had just so that I could then be the place that people would go to order, whether it be online or anything, just to kind of help cement myself in as a place that knew and built these things and did all of that.
Yeah.
So it was, in the beginning, it was a risky play, and I was investing ungodly amounts into, a company would be like, hey, we've got slides. We've got, 15 left of each, how many would you like? And my answer was literally for 2020, 2021, and a part of 2022, I'll take it all. And they're just like, what? And I'm like, I'll take all of it. Everything you have, I will take.
You just made their job so easy.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just so hard to come by. So you would literally get anything and everything you could whenever it was available.
So you cornered the market.
Yeah. Not proud to say that I did it,
No,
but at
that's
the
a-
same
no, it's smart
time,
business.
That is a legitimate
not a-
business practice. That is not.
at the same time, I was kind of like, I
You know
had
who made
to-
the most money on the gold rush?
The dude selling the shovels.
The dude who went around, bought up every store's shovels and pickaxes and the bags on the mules and everything, bought them all up, went into crazy debt, and then as soon as the gold rush hit, bam, he was the guy.
So the only difference is I didn't scam up the price though. I still stuck to retail.
Yeah,
I made almost no money on high capas.
he made a reputation.
That was my whole idea. I'd rather
You became the most competitive. You had all the inventory and you
Yeah.
weren't.
Gouging.
Yeah.
that's what it was. So our thing was always, you got to be the same as the internet, because
That's tough.
or else.
Yeah, it's hard.
That's tough.
And it's become easier over the years because I've been able to build relationships with the right people, and I've been able to now I get them directly from Japan. I get all my Tokyo Marui directly from Japan.
Yeah.
So it's like it allows me to compete with e-bike. So like all of our MWSs, I literally price match your e-bike on all of it.
Wow.
So it gives you no reason to have to order from e-bike. You could just get it right here, right now for the same price.
Coming in from Japan, do you run into any customs issues with all that stuff?
I did before COVID, not anymore.
Because it's more mainstream now.
Well, I feel like not only is it more mainstream, but I'm getting it kind of direct from a distributor versus through like a retail outlet.
Yeah.
So they know how to properly, I guess, not only just package it, but how to properly categorize it.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
the big thing, is
important.
how to properly categorize it. Because if you categorize it incorrectly, it just goes through the ring.
Yeah. So there was a period of time where I was just getting a little disillusioned with BBs and things like that. So I was like, forget this. I'm going straight to Taiwan. And so I got in contact with BLS, and they're an amazing company, by the way. Like they were super helpful. And so I just bought a pallet of BB straight from the manufacturer, get it over here. And the customs paperwork and everything, and the what are they called? Brokers? The trade brokers or whatever they're called. Like
if it's over $2,000, you got to get a broker to bring it in. Dude,
yeah.
I did not know that at first.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way, and I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me?"
Yeah, I was like, I got a pallet of BB sitting in that, the port at Elizabeth. Like,
yep, and you got to pay for every single day that it's there. Yep,
son of a bitch. But the final customs paperwork, I forget what it said. Oh, it was like how you become like certified importer or whatever. Like it was like arms and explosives or something. And I was like, no, it's just BBs, man. It's just BBs. Like,
I mean, you saw when the Boss systems were shipping the rigmarole that I had to deal with that, because New Zealand has different export laws than the US. So leaving New Zealand, they were categorized as toys. Then they hit customs and they're like, why are these toys shaped like M203?
Yeah.
So then the ATF grabs the entire thing and they're like, yeah, we have to inspect every single one of these. And I'm like, nope. They've been cleared. They've been cleared by the ATF. This is bullshit. And I'm like calling UPS, dealing with a broker, going back and forth. And they're like, yeah, but why are they categorized as toys? I was like, can we change it? And I go, yeah, absolutely. You just need to describe exactly what it is. I was like, sound simulator for production, paintball, and airsoft. And they're just like, oh, paintball equipment. Fucking release the ATF. Let it go.
It is a sound simulating toy.
Yeah. But
yes,
it technically can't fire any type of real projectile.
Correct. Nope. But because it was labeled under toys and not, so there's a customs HTS code, I think is what it's called, for paintball and airsoft. With the one that they had used for the Boss system, it's like the same thing as like your 10-year-old's toy you're going to Target for. So now the ATF needs to know why it looks like an M203, but also environmental needs to understand.
Yeah. Does it have lead in it?
Yeah. What plastics are in it? What's in the paint? Is there lead paint? Is there needing to be a warning label for kids under a certain age? And I'm like, no, it needs to be 18 and up only because it needs to be paintball equipment. And they're like, oh, we can change that for you. But for like 2 days back and forth, like we were working at the field one of those days. It was like every 30 minutes I'm on the phone with customs again because it was just back and forth.
He ordered a flux kit for his VFC SIG.
Oh, yeah. And that
ATF got involved.
Yeah.
Because apparently that flux kit's really close to being
so
compatible with the real thing.
JK Army had flux kits. This was before any of the licensing stuff came out. This was like 2 years ago.
It's not a real army. They're just kidding.
Yeah, JK Army had flux kits for the VFC M17 M18 line. And they were like $200. And I go, yep, I want it. I'm going to order that. I actually used it here for gas gun night one time. And it left... where do they? Hong Kong? Yeah. It left overseas and I see it get to customs and then it was like, your package has been taken by a government agency. I was like, fuck. It's like, fuck.
And then they shot his dog right after.
Yeah. I was like, oh God.
It's almost equivalent.
Yeah. Now, I had bought it with my personal card, but I had used the Zulu Outdoor email and name essentially. So I was like, it's tagged to a business. I get a phone call and it's just like, hey, I'm so-and-so from, Customs and Border Patrol. And I'm just like, okay, that's great. And they're like, yeah, we're here with the ATF. We have some questions. I was like, okay. Oh God. I was like, let me guess. I was like, it is a tan flux kit for a VFC SIG M17. And they're like, is this airsoft? And I was like, yes, it's airsoft because it's JK Army. So the packaging isn't great to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And
they said, what breed is your dog?
Yeah. Yeah. And they're like, we just need to know if this is for a real gun. I was like, no, technically it's just plastic parts. I was like, technically it's for an airsoft gun. I was like, it can't work with a real gun at all. And they're like, okay, cool. Like 2 days later, it was released.
How many people said that about 80% kits, though?
But when it showed up,
just plastic.
Yeah,
parts.
but when it showed up, there was gun oil already on the kit. I was like, they totally tried.
Oh, 100%.
They totally tried, but they didn't figure out that you have to take on the flux kits. There's a metal guide rod on the left side of the receiver. You have to take that off to install the M17. So I was like, they definitely didn't realize that.
Those sound like instructions.
Yeah.
Like on a real one?
No, on the airsoft.
On the airsoft one, okay.
Airsoft one.
Jordan just casually indicting himself.
Yeah, I've only ever messed around with one real flux kit, and
But it still wouldn't fit on a real firearm.
It's an airsoft one. It shouldn't. It barely fit the VFC one. I had to sand it down to get the VFC one.
VFC is good at getting really close.
Yeah, so we actually are a SIG dealer.
Yeah.
And for the first 6 months of opening that account, I had a local rep. And he would come down here once a week. And he was actually a really cool guy. And one time he brought me real SIG parts. Didn't bring a trigger box because that's a firearm, but he did bring down everything else to see what could fit. Cause I was like, dude, there's no parts for SIG in the US.
Yeah.
You guys really should make some stuff and release it because it would just go like wildfire. And we tried rail grips and stuff. Nope, will not fit.
Ugh.
There is too much, just enough of a difference that could you Dremel it?
So when
If you had machining material, like actual machining material, you probably could make it work, but it's just way too much of a nightmare.
So when you say you're a SIG dealer, like, so SIG, obviously that's the real company, but they also have a division that does.
No, we are a SIG dealer. I can
Like
order
SIG.
everything other than firearms because I do not have an FFL.
And what kind of stuff do you get from SIG?
So we get all of the Airsoft products and we get optics
so,
and stuff.
Yeah, so they have a subdivision of SIG that is SIG Air.
Yes.
The Airsoft stuff.
Yeah.
So when you get like anything like the SIG MCX, like the VFC one, that is, you're getting it from SIG.
Correct.
Right.
But we also get optics and stuff.
And it'd be like getting stuff from Cybergun if you wanted like the Colt license VFC M4. Right.
Yeah. But so the only thing I don't have access to is the real firearms and the ammunition.
Yeah.
But anything else that wouldn't require a NICS check, full access to. And I've ordered a bunch of it and I've sold a bunch of it. Like,
Yeah, and you're fine to do so.
Yeah. Like the stocks for an MCX, you know, Corey, he literally ordered it from SIG directly and put it on his MCX.
Yeah.
And because of that, people saw and they were like, oh my God, I want that. And we ordered a bunch more.
Is that the one that's up on the wall?
Yep.
Yeah. I
So-
was looking at that. It looks really good.
It's that was a fun account. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I also used it for myself. I do have a
Of course.
365X macro.
Yeah, man. Nothing wrong with that.
I do have it legally. I do have
are you licensed in New York or New Jersey?
so I am licensed in New Jersey. I'm actually going for my CCW on Monday.
For New York or
New
for
Jersey.
For
But
Jersey.
once I have it in New Jersey, it's like apparently it's a breeze to open it up in New York because not only do I have it in Jersey, but I have a business in New York.
Yeah, I could see there being
So-
something
Do
like
you
that.
reside in
Jersey.
Jersey?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
But
heard it was a nightmare doing it like that.
so recently they actually opened it up to non-residents. You can get a CCW in New York if you're a non-resident. So, but if you have a business in New York, it just makes it way easier on top of that. Especially since the business is like 500 feet from the New York, New Jersey
Yeah,
border.
you could throw a rock and be in New Jersey.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I have a New York carry permit, but I heard because like they live in Jersey, but they have the up in New York. At the time when they were looking at doing it, they were like, it's a nightmare to try and get a New York permit as a New Jersey resident.
Tell them to try again.
It's a nightmare to get a New York permit as a New Yorker.
Yeah, I mean, hell, it took me 14 months to get mine, and I live in New York.
Yeah, tell them to try again because I mean, I don't know when they did it, but I want to say probably
this
within
was
the
like
last
3 years ago.
Oh no! So within the last year, they opened it up to non-residents.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you have a business in New York, it's way easier on top of that. And even if you have to have the New Jersey CCW first.
Yeah, they both have it.
Once you have that, then you're allowed to do it in New York. I don't know vice versa. I don't know if New Jersey accepts it and gives it to any New Yorkers, but I do know that New York did open it up to New Jersey, and I'm pretty sure it's probably. I feel like New York and New Jersey just piggyback off each other.
When you get New York, that'll cover a lot of states.
Does it?
Yeah, we
New
looked,
York,
It,
so
it
the-
covers like 20.
Like the reciprocity for New York permits is like it covers most states.
No way.
If you get New York, so it doesn't
Utah?
cover Pennsylvania.
Well, Utah gets you. So if you have a New York permit and you get a Utah out of state permit, you get like 39 states.
I was gonna say you've
And
got
Florida.
like almost like
Yeah.
2/3 of the country.
I think
covered.
Bill was telling me, I think it's like New York, Utah, and Florida. If you get those three, like you can basically go anywhere.
Almost.
Yeah, PA doesn't recognize New York though.
Yeah, they do not.
But do they recognize Utah?
Do they recognize New
Florida.
Jersey?
No,
No.
They recognize Florida.
Who recognizes New Jersey?
New Jersey.
So if you get those three states, you have everything except for California and New York City.
Basically, something like that.
By
Yeah.
I don't-
having a New York
Those
permit,
are the safest places in the country right now. So
so I'm on the USCCA website. By having a New York permit, you can carry in 31 states.
That's awesome.
Everything
Yeah.
blue, yellow, and green is good to go with a New York permit. Anything red, you can't.
do you
Yeah.
do carry insurance like USCCA?
You can't.
I'm
in-
going to, yes.
So I looked into it for New York and I could not get it.
Yeah,
as a New
it's
York
illegal in New York.
resident. That's
Wait,
Yeah.
carry insurance is illegal?
Because you have to be responsible for your actions, right? So,
Yeah.
so having insurance just in case you blast somebody It's just New York. That's just New York.
Yeah, I don't know about Jersey, but in New York, you cannot have USCCA insurance.
Well, I'll have it for Jersey,
Yeah.
just in case.
Well, who knows? Maybe because New Jersey's pretty strict with their laws too. You might not be able to.
New York
I
is
know somebody that does.
Oh, then you're good.
Yeah.
New York is legally probably the worst state to ever have to pull your gun in when it comes to like you defended your life and maybe you had no other option. And it like arguably there was no other way. There's going to be a criminal persecutor that is going to make every argument to put you in jail.
Yeah.
Like, remember the Kyle Rittenhouse trial? Did you watch any of that?
Yes.
Did you see the things that this guy was saying to try to like convince the jury that Kyle Rittenhouse was like, he was like, so you play video games, right? Call of Duty, where you shoot people, and your name in the game is 4 doors more whores. Like, he cross-examined him with that.
Yeah.
Like, 4 doors more whores, you are a murderer.
You mean a car has to deal with murder?
Also,
apparently.
like gamer tag.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Well, they were grasping at straws with that one. But
New York is awful. Whereas, like in Texas, you hear stories like some woman was home and there's a peeping Tom and she shot him dead.
Okay, so real story. In Texas, to this day, it is completely legal to shoot and kill a person at night on your property.
Yes.
It's an old cattle rustling like law, and everybody's like, yeah, it's pretty good. We can keep that.
So
Do you think anybody's dragged somebody onto their property? Just
100%. 100%.
so I'm
This must have been before ring cameras.
USCCA does not offer membership to New York or New Jersey residents.
So then somebody else offers the insurance because
Unless-
you actually know the gentleman, older gentleman.
Yeah. How's he
so
doing?
He's doing all right.
Yeah, okay.
He just unfortunately annihilated. He's doing good, but he carries and is what's the name? He has insurance, so he was the one that actually brought me onto it.
Yeah.
He lives in
Well,
Jersey.
it does say here, while the USCCA doesn't, New Jersey does require concealed carry permit holders to maintain liability insurance.
Yeah,
So
Oh, you have to get insurance.
Yeah, in
It's
New
like a
Jersey.
car.
Yeah.
it's not expensive though. It's like $20 a month.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not bad
That's
at all. I think
honestly really good.
the top tier was like $40 a month for
Oh, wow.
like.
What does that insurance cover, though? Is it like legal fees in the event you
I
get
wish
to-
I could tell you. I haven't, and I'm not
tell
going to
you?
be the one to look into it. I'm going to just ask my wife to do it.
like when you get home insurance? It's like you know that if there's a house fire, the insurance covers that.
Well,
Not
not over
always.
in California.
Right.
You better have fire coverage and make
Not
sure
always.
you didn't pull it.
But like if
Better
you
have
get
act of God coverage.
if
that
you-
was definitely too soon right now with what's
Yeah,
going on.
right.
but usually if you get like insurance for your car, for your home, it's kind of clear what it covers. But then with the carry insurance, you're legally required to get in New Jersey. Is it simply because your wife does the legal stuff and you just couldn't care less about it and like you trust your judgment on it, or or is it that ambiguous?
No, it's because this is a very, I guess, I hate reading.
Yeah,
Numbers, put numbers in front of me all day long and I'm in like heaven, but
Rain Man.
just physically sitting there reading and putting it all I just hand it off. She literally loves doing it. So, and on top of that, she understands the legal jargon.
That's
and
funny.
I feel like
I make my wife read everything too.
half the time I feel like insurance policies have like that legal jargon in there that like if you don't know what it means or how it's meant, like you're going to misinterpret it.
And it's purposeful.
Yeah,
It's
100%.
purposeful. It's like our
Like-
tax code. They make it ambiguous so that they can catch you up on stuff.
she kind of taught me how to do some of it. So like I'm okay, but at the end of the day, I'm still just like, here you go, honey. It's literally your profession.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's jump back on track with
Airsoft.
with full on arena. So what you got any big plans for what would you like to see in 10 years, whether it be for full auto or for airsoft in general?
Oh God. All right. Well, we're here for another 17 years at minimum. So
Yeah,
so we've got a lease for 20 years, but from us specifically, I mean, I want to expand. So there's a part of the building next to me that, I told the owners, hey, if you ever decide you want to move because you got too big, let me know. And I'd love to make that a second field. We also have a basement, and a basement's another 10,000 square feet.
So it's like the full length of the building?
No, it's literally from like where the current CQB field is, that entirety.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't, so the original building doesn't have anything underneath the speed field moving forward.
Okay.
So it's everything behind that.
Okay.
So the only reason, and I've said this tons of times, and a lot of people that may watch this that have seen me talk about it. The reason it hasn't been done is because it floods.
That's
So
a good reason.
it's going to cost like $1 million to fix that. And if it doesn't support it, it's kind of So
you're almost better off going up.
It's not a flaw. It's
equally
a
as
feature.
a feature that requires a lot more repair than you guys would even do, because that would just it'd be throw it all out.
Leave the flood. Leave the flood.
Oh, you're
Leave the
talking
water.
like Battlefield 4
It's
flood
a
zone.
feature.
So it's the Guardian Center level.
Yeah, love
Okay. Flooding parts out. All right, gotcha.
Just
play in scuba gear.
building concrete down there.
Staph infections from the dirty water down there in your boots.
So that's one thing. The basement next door, want to do that, but more that's going to be super distant. I don't know what's coming ahead of us, dude.
Sure.
Like, none of us could have predicted the COVID. None of us could have predicted anything that's happening right now. There's 4 flus going around. Like, what is next?
Actually, what do you think about tariffs? If there's like heavy tariffs being imposed come this next administration, what impact do you think that's going to have on product coming into the U.S.? Guns, BBs.
Oh, they're going up.
Yeah,
100%.
I mean, TM came out with that announcement that they're raising all their prices.
Yeah. So that just happened January. So all prices officially got up.
Wait, and you get directly from them. So how does that impact you? Like your dealer prices obviously are going.
Oh yeah,
up
all of them went up. Yeah. Everything, pretty much, just about everything went up. And there's still more that they're going to be changing as well. They're just not doing it all at once.
So, I'm sorry, but do you think their price changes are to basically offset the tariffs, or do you think they're just changing the price, and then when the tariffs come, there will be more additional charges?
No, offset happened because of how weak the yen is to the USD. It's gotten incredibly weaker.
Right.
So over the last 2 years, it's gone up it's gotten worse by 30%.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much weaker the yen got, and that's the reason why.
Wow.
Because they're getting way less money, USD wise for their products. So they're increasing the price.
Yeah, so that's not even tariff based.
No.
Yeah.
Which means it could probably go up again.
The tariffs haven't hit yet. And we found a website where you were buying TMs directly from Japan. And this was 3 months ago. And it was a TM Glock 17 is $92 with the conversion rate.
Could that be the death of TM if the prices get too high?
No, they're cemented in.
There's no such thing as death of TM.
No, absolutely not. But that's where I'm saying I remember seeing the same website 5-6 years ago where you're like, oh, okay, that's kind of reasonable. The yen conversion was $130 for that gun. And you're because of how much the yen has dropped, you're like, this is bad. Then price changes got announced, and I was like, this makes sense now. Because with tariffs, think about it. If the government comes out and puts tariffs in place, they're not immediately, those companies aren't going to pass off that entirety, because then the prices are going to skyrocket and they're going to start losing money. It'll probably turn into, let's say there's a 20% blanket tariff out of China. Maybe they're going to raise their price by 8% to offset it. And they're going to make a little bit less money, but the price isn't going to jump up by 20%. You might see an increase of overall price by 12 to 14%, which is still a lot.
Yeah.
That's the difference between an Elite Force Glock being $170 and $195. It'll go up. You'll see a small price increase, but we're not going to see a bottle of BBs that's going from $20 to $40. It might be $24 or $26, but if there's a 20% bump in prices, they're going to find a way to make that margin still work within a reasonable 10%.
My fear is that they'll offset it by just reducing quality in a subtle way.
Probably not.
I don't think they can. I feel like once and on top of that too, I feel like China's going to be the most heavily tariffed, and possibly Russia.
Yeah.
If that's even an import thing, I don't even know.
Yeah, but look what happened with tagging products. So there was a ban on stuff from Russia. So then Tag just moved from Russia.
Yeah.
They started up a factory, I think it was in Poland.
Yep.
Yeah.
And because of that, there's not a ban on, pyrotechnics coming out of Russia in the same way. We saw some kind of tariff a few years ago. It was 2 or 3 years ago, and it made it hard to get certain replica optics out of China. So then we saw distributors that were moving the optics from China to South Korea. We're not going to tariff South Korea. It's an ally. So then you were seeing your package, you were paying 10% more on shipping charges because it was being shipped from China to South Korea and South Korea to the U.S.
And on top of that, I feel like a lot of the products that we get now are from Taiwan.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
well, how long is that going to last?
Well, the thing is, a lot of these tariffs are threats.
How long is Taiwan going to last?
Yeah. Yeah.
The way tariffs have been,
I hate to be that guy.
the way tariffs have been used historically is that it's really a threat. It's all right, and Trump's whole stance is like, all right, you're ripping us off in trade. So if you don't comply with these rules, then we're just going to tariff you.
Yeah, but it's behavior like that caused the chicken tax.
It's true, but like there are going to be a lot of countries, especially those that are, I guess, closer to being allied. Like Japan's definitely an ally. Taiwan is like they don't really want to get ingested by China, but
Yeah.
that's a huge gray area. Countries like that, I think, will adhere to whatever this administration says they should do to not get tariffed.
I think they just want it manufactured in the U.S.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know if the word manufactured, possibly even just assembled, because like as long as it's like 60% assembled in the U.S., you could technically put
that. Well,
made in the U.S. on it or something like that.
Yeah, you guys say made in the USA, not manufactured.
Yeah.
Or assembled in the USA, because we saw that with auto manufacturers. Like Toyota built an entire factory here just to assemble their cars in the US. All the parts were manufactured overseas.
Yeah.
And that, again, chicken tax. This is how we avoid that. But for Airsoft, man, it's going to be hard. You're not going to see manufacturing spin up in the United States for like AGs. I mean, Polar Star does make their stuff here, if I'm not mistaken, but still, like, manufacturing a whole airsoft gun in the U.S. is going to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just in terms of the price. Like,
Yeah, it'd be a $600 gun for a basic.
It's going to hurt smaller
it'd be
companies.
a $600 gun for
100%.
something the quality of a G&G combat machine.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
It's not going to hurt EVIC. Like even EVIC, they have their collateral. They have fishing gear. They have Magic the Gathering cards. They have Nerf guns.
They got
like,
toys, RC tanks.
Yeah, so it's almost like they're just like they have their foot out the door in case something happens with Airsoft, and
Well,
then
it's expanding.
yeah,
They've kind of hit the peak in Airsoft.
yeah. I mean,
They are Walmart.
EVIC definitely takes losses.
I see
And-
they're Amazon. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh, you know what? That's fair.
They're Amazon, but the customer service is the complete opposite of what Amazon. Amazon has amazing customer service. We don't care why you want to return it. Here's your money back, and half the time you can keep the product.
Yeah.
Evic's just like, well, we need a blood sample, stool sample, firstborn child, and on top of that, if it's got a single scratch, you can't return it. You know what I mean?
I have
Like,
some stories for you that we can talk about off air. Oh my God.
I'll get orders from them where like I'll order 10 of something and I'll get 9, and I'll call them and be like, just letting you know that this happened. You know, obviously, like I could obviously be lying, right? So they're like, okay, you have to send a picture of the package. And in my mind, I'm like, logically, I'm like, if I was lying, I can just like take the 10th one out.
Yeah, they want
You
a
know?
picture of, I've had to do this. They want a picture of every item that was in your order.
And your feet in the picture.
Yeah, I sent them my feet.
Those are the
photo.
specific instructions. I think he really just wanted to see my dogs. But
Yeah.
they've always like, all right, we'll send you another one. But like, yeah, their customer support's weird. And I tell players, like when they get a gun from EVIC that fails, I'm like, you know, if you get a gun from a local shop, always try to take it back to them. And the local shops will do everything they can to try to make you whole.
hopeful.
EVIC, it's like
Within reason.
once you get the gun from EVIC, if something's wrong with it or whatever, they're going to charge you to ship it back. And if it's like a warranty, they're not just going to give you a new gun to replace it. They're going to have their tech department fix it. And, you know, you're going to be waiting and you're going to be spending money on that tech work. And it's like, it's expensive. They really do want a blood sample and a stool sample. And
So I don't want to like throw them under the bus hard, but that reminded me of a recent story from a customer at the field. He bought one of the EMG licensed guns that we just didn't carry in the shop, so he ordered it from e-bike. He got a BB jam. Took his upper receiver off, knocked out the BB jam because it was a bad one. Like it folded the hop up bucking over.
you voided the not free warranty.
Sort of. So then he noticed while he was reassembling it, he's like, oh my God, my lower receiver's cracked. Like it was cracked right where the buffer tube is. So like the tang that comes up the buffer tube sits in, because it was a Cyma Platinum receiver. We see him crack there all the time.
Yep.
So he calls e-bike and explains to him, he's like, hey, I got a BB jam. I took the upper off to knock the BB jam out, but I realized that while I was taking the upper off, I had a cracked lower receiver. And they're like, oh, you took the upper off? Yeah, you voided your warranty. Sorry, have a nice day. Hung up.
Nice.
He's like, really? I took the upper off to clear a jam on a brand new gun and that voided my warranty? And they're like, should have sent it back.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Well-
why we put void stickers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, gentlemen, it has been like 2 hours, I think.
Yeah. So we took a 15-minute break. So we're sitting about an hour and a half.
Perfect. I think we'll wrap it up here.
Yeah, it's been
John, thank you so much for having us out.
Thank you for coming.
It's been a pleasure. And
Well, do you have anything you want to say to the Airsoft community?
We're working on a lot of new things. We have a tactical league also coming up. Honestly, we post everything up on social media from calendar changes to new products to events and everything. If you're not following us on Full Auto Airsoft or Full Auto Arena, that's why you're probably going to be missing it. So definitely just follow there. That's where we kind of post everything up as far as schedule goes. And
Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah. Well, more so just Instagram, Full Auto Airsoft, Full Auto Arena, those two. It's just stay on top of that, and you'll get to see all the events. I think we've got an entire schedule set up for the whole year. We just didn't put it out all at once, but we do have an entire schedule for the whole year set up.
Sounds good. All right, John, again, I thank you for having us out. And with that, good night. God bless. We're out.